We're diving into something that every Honor of Kings player needs to get right: Clash Lane builds. We're gonna break down how to build your hero in different matchups and how to make sure you always come out on top in your lane.
But before that, I found a cheaper way to get tokens. Normally, in the official store, you pay 99 cents for 80 tokens. But on Buff, it's basically half price, around 50 cents for the same 80 tokens. And the best part, you don't even have to enter your UID. Just log in using the same Gmail linked to your game, choose the pack you want, pay, and the tokens arrive instantly. Super simple with multiple payment options. Link is in the description or scan the QR on screen. The discount is already applied through my link, which can be up to 50%. Also, there's a small giveaway where you will get TD key vouchers which will worth $1 to $2. Make sure to use them before March 10th. Grab the cheaper tokens, and good luck on your rank push.
Let's talk about what this new series is really about. We're breaking down builds role by role, and today our spotlight is on Clash Lane. We're gonna talk about how to adapt mid-game, how to counter your opponent's spikes, and how to squeeze every advantage from your lane. We'll break it down simple: when to go Bruiser, when to switch to hybrid, and when to build tanky just to hold that lane till your jungler rotates. So yeah, grab your snacks, chill back, and let's get into some serious Clash Lane talk, because once you understand how builds shift depending on your matchup, you'll start winning lanes you used to lose. All right, let's get right into it. Now let's break this down properly. In Honor of Kings, the Clash Lane, also known as the solo lane, is usually home to heroes who can handle themselves in one-on-one fights and do a bit of split pushing on the side. Now, most Clash Lane heroes fall into three main categories: Bruisers, ranged champions, and hybrids. Let's go through each one nice and simple. First up, the Bruisers. These are your melee fighters, tough, aggressive, and built for close quarters combat. They can both deal and take a solid amount of damage, which is why they're also called fighters. Think of heroes like Byron, Kaiser, or any strong duelist who thrives in a head-to-head brawl. These guys are all about getting in, trading hits, and walking out alive. Basically, if you love raw 1 versus 1 action, Bruisers are your lane kings. Next up, we have ranged champions. These could be marksmen or even mages who sometimes show up in Clash Lane. Now, this one's a little less common, and yeah, let's be honest, kinda annoying to face sometimes. Nobody loves getting poked under tower for 4 minutes straight, but hey, it happens. And when it does, you've gotta know how to build for it or play around it. Finally, let's talk about hybrid champions. These are the flexible ones. Heroes who have both melee and ranged abilities, or can even switch forms, who can switch between demon and human stances. They're unpredictable, versatile, and super fun once you learn how to use them right. Now here's the thing, a lot of players get tilted when a ranged hero ends up in Clash Lane. And honestly, yeah, it changes the entire lane dynamic, but it's part of the game. So instead of complaining, we've got to learn how to build smartly, whether we're ahead or behind. So today we're breaking down the best item builds for each of these Clash Laner types, and how to adjust your build when you're winning or losing. Because remember, your item path isn't fixed. It depends on your lead, your matchup, and what your enemy team is taking. All right then, let's kick things off with our first category, the Bruisers. Now let's talk about the backbone of Clash Lane, the Bruisers. Bruisers are melee champions, and they shine best in sustained fights. They're not about one-shot combos, they're about staying in the brawl, trading, and outlasting their opponents. When you're playing a Bruiser in Clash Lane, your build will always depend on two things: how the lane's going and who you're facing. So let's go over two main situations: when you're struggling and when you're dominating. First up, when you're behind. Maybe you died early, or your opponent just got the first kill and some extra gold. In that case, don't panic. Your go-to item should be Blazing Cape. This item is amazing when you're in a deficit. It gives you bonus health and defense, and its passive deals burning area damage to enemies nearby. That burn isn't just for show. It deals double damage to minions and monsters, which means you can clear waves faster even under tower. That helps you farm safely, catch up on XP, and stop the enemy from snowballing. So yeah, if you're behind, rush Blazing Cape and start with the energy core component for that early burn effect. Think of it as your comeback item. It stabilizes your lane and keeps you in the game. Now, what if you're ahead? You've got a kill lead, more gold, you're feeling good, right?
You know what? I love myself. Even though I look like a burnt chicken nugget, I still love myself.
That's when you build Axe of Torment. This item gives a big attack boost, some extra health, and even cooldown reduction so you can spam abilities more often. But the real magic is in its passive. It gives you massive physical pierce as you level up, somewhere around 90 to 180 extra armor penetration. That's why we call it the anti-squishy weapon. It melts fragile heroes like enemy marksmen and mages. So when you're winning lane, Axe of Torment helps you snowball harder. You can roam, punish other lanes, and completely crush soft targets. Or Kaiser with Axe of Torment? Yeah, they're every marksman's nightmare. So simple rule of thumb, Blazing Cape when behind, Axe of Torment when ahead. That's your go-to logic for first big items as a bruiser. Now, quick item pathing tip because a lot of players mess this part up. If you're building Axe of Torment, don't rush the meteor component just for a bit of attack. Instead, go for the Sunglow Striker first. Sunglow Striker gives you solid early damage, helps you clear minions faster, and it's way more cost efficient than meteor alone. Also, when the game starts, grab a cheap iron sword for that plus 20 attack. It makes last hitting smoother and helps you trade early. Skip that resilient agate or other tiny defensive items at level 1. Trust me, the iron sword gives you more value in those early duels. So yeah, play smart, adapt your first item to your lane situation, and your bruiser will start feeling unstoppable. Now, let's move on to the next category. Alright, let's talk defense, because no matter how cracked you are, even the best bruisers need some protection. As the game goes on, you'll always need to start mixing in defensive items, especially once team fights start to snowball. The trick is to build smart, based on the type of threats the enemy team has. So let's go through the key defensive options, what to buy and when to buy them. Against heavy physical damage, say an enemy fighter or a fed marksman, your best friend is Spike Mail. I don't see enough players using this, and that's a mistake. Spike Mail gives you tons of armor, and its passive reflects a chunk of incoming damage back to whoever hits you. If that marksman's melting you, Spike Mail makes them regret it, returning about 25 to 30% of their damage as magic damage right back at them. And get this, if you take more than 2,000 damage within 2 seconds, Spike Mail unleashes a shockwave, hitting everyone nearby for around 8% of their HP. It's a full-on team fight punish. So yeah, build Spike Mail when physical DPS heroes are going wild. It's literally, you hit me, you hurt yourself. Now, if your problem isn't damage but mobility when enemies keep kiting or running away, you've got two amazing tools, Glacial Buckler and Frostscar's Embrace. Let's start with Glacial Buckler, a real hidden gem for Clash laners. It gives cooldown reduction, mana, and armor, but the best part is its passive. Whenever you lose more than 10% of your HP from one hit, it triggers an Ice Blast that slows enemies' movement and attack speed by about 15 to 30% for 2 seconds. Perfect for catching slippery heroes or disrupting bursts in team fights. Basically, if someone tries to nuke you, boom, they get frozen and slowed. Now, Frostscar's Embrace is another great pick, especially for heroes who use enhanced basic attacks after casting skills. It gives attack, armor, mana, health, and cooldown reduction, but its passive is the star. After using a skill, your next basic attack deals bonus physical damage and slows the target. So if you're playing heroes like Elaine or Charlotte, each empowered swing now slows your enemy. Perfect for sticking to agile champs. It's not a huge slow, around 15 to 20% for half a second, but hit after hit, that adds up fast. Combine this with Glacial Buckler or Ominous Premonition, and those slippery targets, yeah, they're not going anywhere. Quick rule, if your hero relies on enhanced basics, go Frostscar's Embrace. If not, Glacial Buckler gives you solid utility and survivability. And in some late game matches, you can even build both. Double slows, double control. Next, against high attack speed enemies like a fed marksman or certain fighters, grab Ominous Premonition. This item gives you heavy armor and HP, and its passive is a hard counter to fast shooters. Every time they hit you, their attack speed gets slashed by 40%, and even their movement speed dips a bit. So if you're getting shredded by someone like Marco Polo or Lady Sun, this is your anti-DPS shield. It literally says, you want to shoot me? Okay, shoot slower. It pairs beautifully with Glacial Buckler or Frostscar's Embrace, stacking slows and crippling the enemy output. Now let's handle the big one, Heavy Magic Burst. When enemy mages are blowing you up, you've got a few strong defenses. First, Succubus Cloak, perfect against nukers. It gives big magic defense, HP, and grants a shield when you're out of combat that absorbs tons of magic damage. That shield eats the first mage combo, so instead of dying instantly, you walk away, alive and ready to swing back. It scales with level, so it only gets stronger stronger as the game goes on. Next, Eye of the Phoenix. This one's for sustained magic fights. It heals you a percentage of HP every time you take damage, which makes it great against mages with gradual damage, like Diao Chan or Yi Xing. But remember, it's not for burst. If you're getting one shot, Succubus Cloak or the next item works better. That next one is Long Night Guardian, a true lifesaver. When you take a huge hit, 30% of your HP within 3 seconds, it instantly starts healing you back over time. So even if a mage combo should have killed you, Long Night Guardian kicks in and says, not today. It pairs beautifully with Succubus Cloak. Cloak blocks the first hit, and if you still take heavy damage, Long Night heals it back. Double insurance, baby. And finally, Overlord's Plate Mail, the underrated HP powerhouse. It gives you huge max health, some defense, and boosts all healing effects on you. It's amazing for bruisers with shields or self-heal kits. If you've already built both armor and magic defense, throw in Overlord's Plate Mail to become a true frontline wall. So to wrap this up, Spike Mail for physical burst, Glacial Buckler or Frostgar's Embrace for mobility control, Ominous Premonition for fast attackers, and Succubus Cloak, Eye of the Phoenix, or Long Night Guardian for magic threats. Add Overlord's Plate Mail when you just need to be unkillable. Pick the right one at the right time, and trust me, you'll stop dying and start carrying. Now that's how a real bruiser survives. Alright, let's talk about something everyone forgets. Boots! Yeah, the smallest item that can literally save your life. As a Clash laner, your boots change everything. Mobility, defense, CC resistance, skill uptime, so let's speed run through them. Boots of Resistance, also known as Tenacity Boots. They cut CC duration by 25%. If you're getting chain stunned by Motzi or locked down by supports, grab these. Shorter stuns mean faster counters and faster escapes. CC heavy enemy team, go Resistance. Easy. Next, Boots of Tranquility, your CDR boots. They give cooldown reduction, perfect for skill-based bruisers like Lu Bu, who rely on spamming abilities. They don't give armor or magic resist, but hey, more spells equals more kills, and skills back faster. Pick these if you trust your mechanics and want to outplay, not out-tank. Deafness boots, pure speed. If you're the type who loves chasing, rotating, or diving mid from Clash lane, these are gold. Just remember, no defense, no attack, only movement. Use them when the enemy can't CC you much, and all you need is raw speed to run them down. Now, Boots of Dexterity. Yeah, attack speed boots. Not common for bruisers, but if your hero's all about fast autos like Alan, perfect when you're already snowballing and every swing counts. If your kit scales with attack speed, go for it, otherwise skip them. And finally, Boots of Fortitude, your armor boots. They reduce basic attack damage and boost physical defense. Absolute lifesaver when facing AD heavy laners. Early game, they're incredible. You'll take less poke and keep farming safely. Later, they fall off a bit, but they can make all the difference in those first few minutes. Alright, quick recap. Lots of CC, go Boots of Resistance. Skill heavy bruiser, go Tranquility boots. Need to roam or chase, Swiftness boots. Fighting AD spam or marksman, Fortitude boots. Auto attack hero, Dexterity boots. Don't underestimate your footwear, because sometimes the right boots are the difference between dying slow and living fast. Alright, now that we've covered the basics, let's talk about the fun stuff, the secret bruiser tech. These are the niche picks, the late game curveballs that can turn you into a complete nightmare in team fights. First up, Dawnlight. Not many people use this one, but man, it's a gem. It gives health, defense, and the best part, when you deal damage, you gain a shield, not just for yourself, but also for the ally with the lowest HP. Picture this, you dive in, you start swinging, and suddenly you're shielding both yourself and your squishy teammate. Mini support vibes in a fighter item. Combine Dawnlight with Succubus Cloak and boom, double shields. Late game team fights, you're a walking fortress. Next, Frigid Charge. This thing is your anti-CC trap card. When you get stunned or knocked up, Frigid Charge instantly releases a shock, stunning and slowing enemies around you while giving you a mini shield. Basically, they stun you, you stun them back. Instant revenge. It doesn't work on suppressions like our Arthur's ult, but against stuns, taunts, and knockups, it's perfect for frontline initiators. The upgraded form isn't worth it. Base Frigid Charge is already cracked for its price. Now, Blood Rage, one of my absolute favorites for late game bruisers. It gives health, damage, and when your HP drops below 50%, you get a massive shield and bonus attack power for a few seconds. Enemies think they've got you? Nope. Shield pops, damage spikes, you turn the fight around. Lane mains know what I'm talking about. That you thought I was dead moment. Usually pick Blood Rage as a 4th or 5th item. If you're stacked with gold, you can upgrade to Phantom, but honestly, base Blood Rage is often enough.
Now, Cuirass of Savagery. This item is basically a monster of defense and offense together. It gives you physical attack, physical defense, and around 900 max HP, so you get tankier and you hit harder at the same time. Now, why do we use it? If the enemy team has high movement speed or their marksman is shredding you from range, this item is perfect. You build this when you're tired of getting poked and melted from far away. The passive is where it gets spicy. When you take damage, you gain plus 2% extra damage and plus 1% movement speed for 3 seconds, and it can stack up to 5 times. So the more they hit you, the stronger and faster you become. This makes Cuirass of Savagery an amazing counter to marksmen and long-range champs. If you're dealing with annoying ranged heroes, Cuirass of Savagery is one of the best items you can pick to fight back. Now let's talk about the last defense item, Dragon's Rage. This item is super strong because it gives you physical defense, magical defense, and bonus max HP. So you're tanky against both AD and AP, which is huge. Now the first passive. Your basic attacks deal 6% of your physical damage to minions and monsters, and you restore HP equal to 50% of that damage. For ranged heroes, this healing is reduced by half. So yeah, this item is not great for ranged heroes. If you're playing a marksman, just skip it. The second passive, Divine Power, your basic attacks deal 3% of your physical damage as extra damage to enemy heroes. Again, this is halved for ranged heroes. So once again, melee heroes benefit the most. So overall, Dragon's Rage sits in the middle. It gives you a lot of damage resistance while still letting you deal good damage. You become hard to kill, but you're not useless in fights either. If you're playing something like Musashi in Clash Lane or any melee hero who wants to stay alive and still hit hard, Dragon's Rage can be a very powerful item. So yeah, if you're struggling against ranged champions and marksmen, go for Cuirass of Savagery to fight back and scale off their damage. Pick Dragon's Rage when you want to be tanky on both sides, physical and magical, and still hit like a beast. Build smart, survive longer, and make them regret focusing you.
Next, Pure Sky. This isn't a stat item, it's an enchantment. When you activate it, it cleanses all your debuffs and reduces the damage you take from your target by 20%. So if a Fed marksman's hunting you, activate Pure Sky on them, boom, you take less damage, you slow them, and you're free from CC. It's like a mini Purify plus a Duel Breaker in one button. Use it smartly, and you'll win fights you had no business surviving. Now for the heavy hitters, Armor Pierce and high damage items. Two options here, Starbreaker and Siegebreaker. Starbreaker is the cost efficient one, gives you cooldown reduction and solid penetration. Siegebreaker is the late game monster, more raw damage but expensive. If the game's close, go Starbreaker, smart and safe. If you're snowballing hard, treat yourself. Build Siegebreaker and melt tanks like butter. Just remember, Axe of Torment already gives you Pierce, so don't overstack penetration early. Save that gold for your defenses. So yeah, Bruiser mains, these are your secret tools. Whether it's Dawnlight for shields, Frigid Charge for counter CC, Blood Rage for clutch comebacks, Pure Sky for cleanse plays, or Starbreaker for pure damage, master these and you'll be the unstoppable wall of chaos every team fight fears. Alright, take a breath, grab your potions, and let's move on to the next category. Ranged champions in Clash Lane. Ranged Clash Laners, making it work in the solo lane. Alright, let's talk about the wild cards of Clash Lane. Ranged heroes going solo. It's not common, but when it works, it's absolute chaos in the best way. Sometimes you'll see Miyue holding her ground in lane, sometimes a Marco Polo, Aaron, or even Lady Sun trying to outrange Bruisers. And yeah, Jiaochan counts too, a mage who fights so close, she's practically hybrid. Now, playing ranged in Clash Lane isn't just about dishing out damage, damage, it's about surviving long enough to deal it. Let's go through the key items and survival tricks. Early sustain and wave clear. If you're a mage like Miyue, grab Sword of Glory. It gives mana and damage so you can clear waves without burning your whole kit. Markswin, go Golden Blade. It's perfect for heroes like Aaron or even Miyue when you're playing her aggressively in lane. That splash damage on minions lets you farm faster and safer, push the wave, and set up early rotations before the enemy even realizes. Enhanced basic attack builds. Heroes like Sima Yi or Miyue love these. Try Staves of Sorcery for that magic burst on your next hit after casting. It's that sneaky surprise burst that wins trades you had no business winning. Ardent Dominator, your panic button item. When you drop below 30% HP, boom, automatic shield. That 1 second of life can let you ult, blink, or outplay a bruiser diving you. If you're fighting burst heroes like Biren, this is your guardian angel in disguise. Venomous Staff, the anti-heal solution. When the enemy has lifesteal or supports like Luna throwing heals non-stop, this item shuts them down. It's not flashy, but trust me, it wins long fights. Splendor, your nope not dying today button. Activate it and you're invincible for a second or two. Perfect for mages like Miyue or Jiaochan who draw tons of skills. They think they've caught you, you go gold, they waste everything. When you come back, it's their HP bars melting. Breakthrough Robe plus Augur Sword, the Pierce combo for mages and hybrids. It gives you both magic penetration and extra HP, so you deal damage and survive the trade. If that Bruiser stacking magic resist, these items make sure your spells still bite hard. Frozen Breath, skip it. It's decent, but range laners need burst and safety, not slows. Let your fighter handle that. Focus on killing, not chilling. So overall, build your main damage items, but always keep one defensive lifeline. Shield, revive, or invulnerability. Now, picture this. You lock in Marco Polo in Clash Lane. You're trading, juking, farming under pressure. Build your attack speed and damage as usual, but slot in a Destiny for that sweet extra life. When the Bruiser, which stuns you, dives with his ult, trigger Frigid Charge. It stuns him back, slows him down, and gives you just enough time to roll out. Chef's kiss counterplay. But if the enemy has suppression like Arthur's ultimate, remember, Frigid Charge won't trigger. That's when you go Pure Sky to cleanse and cut damage, or Splendor to go untouchable and style on them. So yeah, ranged heroes can thrive in Clash Lane, but only if you respect your limits and build smart. Protect your HP, master your actives, and turn every dive into your next highlight reel. Alright, take a breath, cause next up we're talking hybrid Clash Laners, the ones who switch forms and dominate both sides of the fight. Hybrid champions, adapting to both playstyles. Alright, let's talk about one of the most creative and unpredictable categories in Clash Lane, the hybrid champions. These are the heroes that blur every line, melee or ranged, bruiser or mage, physical or magic. They don't just play the lane, they rewrite it. They can switch forms, deal dual type damage, and completely throw off enemy itemization. They're the definition of adaptability. Think Lee Sin with his two distinct forms, human form for control and poke, and demon form for brutal close range domination. Or Gong Sun Lee, the marksman assassin hybrid who dances in and out of fights. Then there's Haino, a fighter who channels magic power through muscle, and Dongwang, the cosmic bruiser who can sustain endlessly in close combat while casting devastating control skills from long range. That's what makes hybrids so special. They can brawl, sustain, and zone from a distance all in one kit. To master hybrids, we balance offense and defense and use their mixed damage potential to keep enemies guessing. Let's start with Lee Sin, the stance switching legend. Demon form, he becomes a bruiser assassin hybrid with high burst potential. Lee Sin's all about mobility and precision. He pokes, trades, and repositions with skill-based autos. For that, attack speed and movement are everything. Grab Sparkforged Dagger, 35% attack speed, 8% movement speed, so Lee Sin can kite, chase, and stay deadly from range. Then when he flips to Inhuman form, that's where Axe of Torment or Starbreaker come in, for raw armor pierce and high impact combos. The sweet spot, one attack speed item for melee form, one burst item for range form, something like Sparkforged Dagger plus Axe of Torment, then rounded out with Frostgar's Embrace for slows and Succubus Cloak for protection against mages. If you balance both forms, Lee Sin becomes unstoppable, switching from poke to punish in a heartbeat. Now let's talk of Haino, the magic-powered bruiser. Haino's a frontline brawler who scales with magic damage and can can either go full tank or balanced hybrid. Full tank route, go Blazing Cape, Ominous Premonition, Succubus Cloak, and Long Night Guardian for anti-burst. Throw in Spike Mail if enemy marksmen are shredding. You'll deal steady burn damage with Blazing Cape and Hano's magic AoE while being near immortal on the front line. Hybrid damage route, want to strike harder, mix in Insatiable Tome, Augur's Edge, and Breakthrough Robe. You'll hit like a mage but survive like a tank. Add Frigid Charge for counter CC or Succubus Cloak for magic resistance, and suddenly Hano's dueling fighters and deleting squishies. Balanced build example, start with Blazing Cape for wave clear, add Glacial Buckler to stick to targets, then Eye of the Phoenix for sustain. Round it out with Augur's Edge and Breakthrough Robe for penetration and damage. Hano thrives in chaos. He tanks, he burns, and he turns every fight into a war of attrition. And finally, let's talk about Dongwon, the Celestial hybrid who redefines sustain. Dongwon can tank like a frontliner, but what makes him terrifying is his hybrid kit. He can drain enemies in close combat and cast long-range control skills that disrupt entire teams. He's one of the few hybrids that scales with both HP and magic, making items like Eye of the Phoenix, Succubus Cloak, and Blazing Cape incredibly efficient. In team fights, Dongwon can zone enemies with his energy orbs, then dive in, grab, and sustain off the chaos he creates. He's the perfect blend of Bruiser resilience and mage-like utility. And that's the beauty of hybrid champions. They force you to adapt every second. If you overbuild damage, you'll crumble. If you overbuild defense, you'll fade. But strike the right balance and you'll be the adaptive monster that no one knows how to counter. So to wrap up, whether it's Lee Sin switching forms, Hano blending magic and might, or Dongwon sustaining while casting from afar, hybrids dominate by being unpredictable. Coming up next, we'll dive deep into arcana setups for Clash laners and how to amplify everything we've built so far. If you enjoyed this, drop a like, subscribe for more SoloZag,